Commander Hera was positioned in a Ukrainian tree line, 5,300 meters from the Russian infantry fighting vehicle he could barely see through the thermal scope, over 3 miles away. Most tank battles happen at under 2,000 meters, close enough to see the enemy, close enough to die fast. But the 120mm rifled gun of his British Challenger 2 wasn't like other tank guns. The onboard computer was calculating wind speed, humidity, target movement, barrel temperature. The gun elevated slightly. Hera gave the order. One shot. 5.3 kilometers. The Russian BMP exploded before its crew even knew they were being targeted. According to Ukrainian forces operating on the Kursk axis, this represented one of the longest confirmed tank kills in the war, and it perfectly captured why Putin's generals didn't expect the Challenger 2 to become the precision nightmare it has become. This is the story of 14 British tanks that changed the calculus of armored warfare in Ukraine. Not through numbers, but through a combination of armor that lets crews survive direct hits, a gun that Ukrainian tankers call a sniper rifle, and combat doctrine that turned these 71-ton machines into long-range assassins Russian armor simply cannot match. In early 2023, Britain became the first Western nation to send main battle tanks to Ukraine. 14 Challenger 2s delivered to the 82nd Air Assault Brigade, one of Ukraine's elite units. The world watched to see if Western armor could survive the drone-saturated, artillery-dominated meat grinder that had destroyed thousands of Soviet-era tanks. Moscow's propaganda machine immediately dismissed them. Russia's weapons chief called the Challenger 2 a cooking pot, claiming Russia's T-90M would outperform both Challengers and Abrams. Russian military bloggers predicted the British tanks would burn like their predecessors, just more expensive kindling for Ukrainian fields. They were wrong. But understanding why requires understanding what makes the Challenger 2 fundamentally different from the T-72s, T-82s, and even T-92s that Russian forces field. Ukrainian tank commander Alexander remembers the moment a Russian helicopter gunship locked onto his Challenger 2 during operations in eastern Ukraine. The rocket hit directly. The explosion was deafening. Smoke filled the interior. But when the crew checked for casualties, everyone was alive. The hull held. According to post-battle damage assessment, the Russian munition penetrated 720 millimeters into the Challenger's composite Dorchester armor. That's 28 inches, deep enough to destroy almost any Soviet-era tank instantly. But the Challenger's armor didn't fail. The tank remained mobile. The mission continued. If you are hit in a Soviet tank, you don't stand much of a chance, one Ukrainian crew member explained to reporters. The ammunition immediately detonates and you're sent flying across the fields. Soviet doctrine prioritized firepower and mobility over crew survival, a calculation that makes sense when you have 3 times the population of your enemy. Ukraine doesn't have that luxury. The Challenger 2 was designed with a different philosophy. Get the crew home alive. The ammunition is stored in armored compartments separated from the crew. The armor is layered composite, chobham, often called Dorchester in British service, considered among the strongest tank armor on Earth. When penetrated, the design channels explosions away from the crew compartment. This matters strategically. According to Ukrainian officials, roughly 7 of the original 14 Challengers remain combat ready as of 2025. But here's the critical statistic. In every confirmed hit, including the tanks destroyed by Russian Cornet missiles and Lancet drones, the crews survived. Every single crew walked away. When the first Challenger 2 was destroyed near Robotyne in September 2023, hit by a Cornet anti-tank missile that triggered catastrophic ammunition fire, British Defense Secretary Grant Shapps confirmed that all crew members survived. Even when a second Challenger was destroyed by a Lancet drone during the Kursk incursion in August 2024, the crew escaped. For a military facing a larger enemy, that survival rate is worth more than any amount of armor on Earth. But the Challenger's real advantage isn't defensive. It's the 120mm L30A1 rifled gun. the only rifled tank gun still in NATO service. Every other modern tank uses smoothbore, better for firing modern armor-piercing rounds at typical combat ranges of 2 to 3 kilometers. But the Challenger's rifled barrel, combined with sophisticated fire control systems, creates something Russian tanks simply cannot match: surgical precision at extreme distances. Commander Hera described the weapon to Army TV. "It's really like a sniper rifle. It allows you to strike enemy targets at long distances. You don't need to get too close. You can fire calmly from cover and then pull back." His crew's 5,300-meter kill on the Kursk axis proved it wasn't hyperbole. Other Ukrainian crews reported regularly engaging Russian positions at 4.5 kilometers, well beyond the effective range of T-72 and T-80 tanks, which struggle with accurate fire beyond 3 kilometers. The fire control computer compensates for wind, humidity, barrel wear, ammunition temperature, and target movement. The thermal optics allow day and night operations with clarity Soviet-era tankers could never imagine. The gun stabilization means accurate fire while moving across rough terrain. One Ukrainian tanker explained the tactical advantage. "You're basically scaring the Russians because they can't see you, but you can destroy them from a tree line." Ukrainian Challenger crews adapted their doctrine, operating from concealed positions in Ukrainian-controlled tree lines, firing at Russian fortifications up to 3 kilometers away, using drones to spot targets and correct fire, then withdrawing before Russian artillery could respond. This isn't how Western tanks were designed to fight. Challengers were built for breakthrough operations, smashing through defensive lines, leading armored charges, engaging enemy tanks in mobile warfare. But Ukrainian crews turned them into long-range precision fire support platforms, using geography and standoff range to negate Russia's numerical advantages. According to Defense Express analysis, Ukrainian Challengers regularly destroyed Russian bunkers, firing positions, and lightly armored vehicles from distances where return fire was impossible. The rifled gun's HESH, high-explosive squash head, rounds proved devastatingly effective against fortified positions. The round flattens against the target before detonating, sending a shockwave through concrete and steel that kills everything inside. But let's be clear about what the Challenger 2 isn't: a game changer. With only 14 tanks delivered and roughly 7 operational as of 2025, they're too few to alter the war's trajectory. According to Ukrainian crews interviewed by The Sun, maintenance remains challenging. The 1,200 horsepower engine is underpowered for a 71-ton vehicle. Crews report getting bogged down in soft soil, requiring recovery by other tanks or engineering vehicles. The rifled gun's ammunition isn't NATO standard, complicating logistics. While smoothbore guns last 1,500 rounds before needing replacement, the rifled L-30A1 wears out after just 500 rounds. Spare parts require British supply chains. Turret repairs take weeks. The complex fire control systems require specialized maintenance Ukraine struggles to provide. According to Ukrainian media reports from March 2024, turret parts and aiming systems require frequent repair. The low operational readiness isn't primarily due to combat losses, it's due to delays getting parts for routine maintenance. Only one Challenger has been completely destroyed beyond repair: the September 2023 Cornet hit near Robotine. The August 2024 Lancet strike during Kursk operations destroyed a second. Several others have been damaged by FPV drones but repaired. Russian propaganda seized on these losses. Videos circulated showing destroyed Challengers. Moscow claimed total superiority, but the crews survived. That's the part Russian propaganda doesn't mention, because in tank warfare, crew survival determines who wins the long war. In August 2024, Ukrainian forces launched their surprise incursion into Russia's Kursk Oblast, the first time foreign troops controlled Russian territory since World War II. The 82nd Air Assault Brigade, equipped with Challengers, spearheaded the assault. British Defence Minister Grant Shapps confirmed that UK-supplied weapons, including Challengers, participated in operations inside Russia. The tanks proved effective in the offensive's opening days, using mobility and long-range fire to support Ukrainian advances. One crew member, Artem, described being hit by a Russian FPV drone during the first days of the Kursk offensive. The tank survived, the crew survived, they continued fighting. But Kursk also exposed the Challenger's vulnerabilities in offensive operations. The heavy weight that makes the armor so protective becomes a liability in mud. Commander Alexander told reporters that while the tank operates well in dry conditions, it struggles to move around in the mud. It's heavy, and if the tracks were different, if they didn't have pads, it would be easier. The drone threat intensified. Russian FPV drones struck multiple Challengers during Kursk operations. On November 14, 2024, a drone hit the driver's position of a Challenger parked in a tree line. On January 5, 2025, another FPV drone struck a Challenger's gun mantlet south of Malaya Lochnia. Russian sources claimed both as destroyed. Ukrainian sources reported them as damaged but recoverable. The reality: modern drone warfare has changed tank combat fundamentally. No tank, Western or Russian, is immune to precision drone strikes. The Challenger's advantage is that even when hit, crews tend to survive. So what didn't Putin expect? Not that Western tanks were invulnerable, they're not. Not that 14 tanks would change the war, they couldn't. What Russia's military leadership didn't expect was that Western tank design philosophy, prioritizing crew survival, precision fire control, and armor protection, would create a tactical problem Russian doctrine has no answer for. Soviet/Russian tanks are designed for mass production, rapid replacement, and overwhelming numbers. When a T-72 is destroyed, you build another T-72. When crews die, you conscript more crews. This works when you have industrial capacity and population advantages, but it doesn't work against tanks that regularly survive hits, where crews gain experience over 2 years instead of dying in their first engagement, where precision fire destroys Russian armor from distances Russian tanks cannot effectively respond. Ukrainian crews operating Challengers for over 2 years have developed expertise that multiplies the platform's effectiveness. They know the terrain, they understand the optimal engagement ranges, they've adapted Western technology to Ukrainian tactics. According to November 2024 interviews with crews stationed in Kursk, they highly praised the Challenger's accuracy, fire control, and survivability. The 5,300-meter kill, the crews surviving direct hits, the psychological impact of being destroyed from distances you cannot see. That's what Putin didn't expect. Not invincibility, but resilience backed by precision, backed by crews who live long enough to become experts. 14 British Challenger 2 tanks haven't won the war, but they've proven something more valuable: that Western tank design, prioritizing crew survival and precision over raw numbers, can survive and kill effectively in the most lethal armored battlefield since World War II. With crews surviving hits that would kill Russian tankers, with confirmed kills at 5,300 meters against armor that never saw it coming, with British steel operating inside Russia itself during the Kursk offensive, the Challenger 2 has earned its Ukrainian nickname, the sniper among tanks. Putin expected these machines to burn like the others. Instead, they became precision instruments in the hands of crews who learned to turn 71 tons of British engineering into exactly what Russian armor fears most: something they can't see, can't reach, and can't kill. Do you think Western tank design philosophy is better suited to modern drone warfare than Russian mass production doctrine? Share your thoughts in the comments. For more analysis on armor in Ukraine, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.